guys, welcome back to the What's Next podcast, coming to you right here from beautiful Monterey Beach, California. And today we've got a guest we've had on here before, way back when we were just audio. Now he got his pretty face on video, Mr. Austin.
Hello,
Pistachio.
sir.
No.
No, you got it. You got it.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Palacios.
Palacios.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that sounds Italian. What's that?
It was from the past few generations. It's a Mexican name that became a Mexican American name, but before that, the roots are mainly Greek. I guess,
really?
From what I've been told, and
You're worldly.
The complexion, but I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, right
I
on.
like olives, so I guess we're okay with it.
We're just olive-skinned, and we're just, it's good enough.
I like drinking coffee and yelling at people on the street, so works out perfect.
It's just real loud, talking with your hands, and it fits right in.
I'm trying not to talk with my hands so Wade doesn't get mad at me here.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you, when I first met you, you were working at a car dealership.
Yes, sir.
Doing some service and surface parts and that kind of thing. Now you've moved over another place over here.
Yeah.
And you're just a buddy of mine, so just tell me what you're doing now.
All right. So when we met, I was a parts advisor at a local European dealership here in Monterey, and It was one of those like punch in, punch out kind of jobs.
Right.
And I was looking on Craigslist one day, definitely not on the clock, but definitely at my portal at work. But I was like looking at Craigslist, and it's like looking for gig jobs, just anything that would fill the time after work to maybe make a little bit extra.
Sure.
And I found the cheesiest Craigslist ad of all time. It was like looking for, bright and happy people. Are you a go-getter? Like it looked like one of those like, oh man, do you like classic cars? We're the one for you. And I just I went, oh boy, I gotta click on this. And then it was like, hey, and then it went super serious, and it was like, hey, is this your passion? Do you love to do this? And the company was Monterey Touring Vehicles.
Wow.
And I'd seen them around through being in the car industry and all that stuff. And what it is, it's a classic car rental company that literally rents 64 4-speed convertible Corvettes to the public every day. We have everything from DeLoreans to 38 Buicks and all that stuff in between. And I showed up to the shop off of this super weird Craigslist ad, and I was like, all right, so super happy people that love cars.
That's me.
I got you.
Right.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And we went through the interview process, and it was like, yeah, this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
And so the fleet has shifted around a little bit, but it's the company itself has grown exponentially in just the short time I've been there, and it's been a really nice kind of respite from going from bit job to bit job, or just, hey, I'm a part-timer at a dealership, and I love all those guys, and I loved working with them, but I didn't want to be there for the rest of my life. I know those guys. My grandfather owned a car dealership, so I got to see all those guys grow up and then grow old and then, get their gold watch. But these days, there's no gold watch.
I was going to say that. I mean, you're a car guy.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
I mean, you're not working in a dealership like that and just pushing papers. I mean, you have a core of love cars, and man, what a little place to run into. Now I go to there's a mechanic back behind that shop that I go in there and
Mr. Jimmy. Oh, no, pardon me, Mr. My.
Mr.
Yes,
My
sir.
Auto, yeah.
My Auto in Monterey, California.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So I always drive back behind the building and, peek in your warehouse. I actually have walked into the warehouse a couple times.
We've chatted in there before. Yeah, of course.
You're like, yeah, you just walked by a Le Mans to get to a Firebird. It's like, I know, but it's my favorite car. And I wonder, it's like, how many people walk in this place and where do they go? They walk by, what was that Volkswagen bus in there? It's like, that's got to get more attention than.
Oh man, that thing's pretty wild because it's got a story. Well, everything's got a story, and that's right. A great thing. So it is a proper 23 window bus, but it was not produced in Germany. So so it was produced in Brazil, which technically makes it a Samba bus. So it is a 23 window. It minus a few things with like the battery pan and how the engine fan sits on it, or the engine fan shroud. Pardon me to the purists, but I'm going to get lit up for that one. But besides a few little minor details, they're the same thing, but they were made in Brazil.
Okay.
They are a little less than the 23 windows that were made in Stuttgart. So it's one of those, like, it is super valuable, but
to the purist.
To the purists, it isn't. But gosh, man, we're not. That business isn't for the purists. It's for the guy that wants to get in a 55 Thunderbird.
That's a great point.
And just cruise 17-mile drive and jam and have Jackie Wilson on the radio and just get some really good vibes going past the Lone Cypress and everything like that, and enjoy the drive. It's not about the horsepower. It's not about, the rarity of the vehicle. It's really about the experience.
Sometimes it's the rarity too.
Because
you got some beauties in there.
We have the 352nd Tesla Roadster that was built in 2008.
I haven't seen that one.
So it's built out of a Lotus Elise chassis.
Okay.
And what they do is they lengthen it by a touch. Tesla lengthen it by a touch, and they put the rear drive on it and all the cooling and such. And it's essentially a Lotus Elise that's a little more uncomfortable, and it's been remapped and rewired. There's a specialist in Phoenix, Arizona that does just all the Tesla Roadster work in the world. And he was like, hey, by the way, I got you guys a solid. I did the amperage spread on all the batteries. I got everything lined up, and the motherboards are upgraded, and you guys now have 160-mile radius that you can go in that car.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What is it normally? It's like 60 or something.
It was super low at the time. If you baby those things, of course, it's like how you drive anything.
Yeah.
If you baby a Cadillac Escalade, it can get 18 miles per gallon. If you baby the Tesla, the upgraded Tesla Roadster from the time, it can get you 180 miles. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything closer than about half that.
Really?
Yeah. It's just because the regeneration technology wasn't there for those cars. So when you in a more modern Tesla and the X, Y, and Z and the Sexy or whatever they call them now, but those guys, when you hit the brakes or when you let off the gas and let off the throttle and you have that setting on, that regenerates some battery power for you. In the Roadster, that just wasn't available at the time. It's just normal brakes, so you're just wasting energy on top of. You have like a little Lotus Elise with a ton of power and torque, you don't drive
It's
it.
crazy.
You don't drive it like just a normal Civic that you're cruising around.
I was watching Jay Leno yesterday.
Oh,
please. And he did a drive in the first Tesla semi.
Oh gosh,
the day cab.
I saw the highlight of it, and I didn't click on it yet. Dang it, coming here to see you.
I'm from Michigan, so it's like I have this internal struggle with the electric versus the gasoline powered. You know, I just love RPMs. I love, but I have to also keep an eye on what's coming up. You know,
what's next?
What's next? Exactly right. And that was always my thought. It was like, why don't you just put power on each wheel, or what's it called?
Just one of the motors on each wheel.
Something, where you can regenerate itself while it's driving, and then they came out with this big, long mathematical equation saying, well, it just doesn't work that way. Okay, I just don't understand math. But now in the semi, they were saying, you're pushing so much weight, and, where a normal truck would have a Jake brake,
right,
would slow you down, where the Tesla, you let off it, and it just creeps it. You don't really need brakes,
right? So and that's the regenerative braking,
right? Exactly,
and
so
it's refueling the energy,
repowering itself, because there's so much. I mean, all 8 wheels are spinning, recharging it, and
that's rotating inertia that you get to send back to those batteries.
But just like you're saying, the guy was like, well, what's the distance it can go? Well, depends on how many mountains you're going on. Depends on how much weight you're pulling. Depends on how much this guy's into the gas pedal, or not gas pedal. I have to switch that thinking over the acceleration pedal or whatever.
Right. The move pedal.
Go forward.
But this isn't factor this research this yourself, but I heard from a credible automobile source just today that any Ford F-150 Lightnings that were purchased before 6 months ago, after 6 months ago, so just up until that time,
right,
all those orders have now been canceled because the Ford Lightning hasn't met the standards, and there's been so much problem with the towing capacity and
the list is long.
The list is very long, and oh my goodness, the CEO of Ford, Mr. Farley, it's Chris Farley's second cousin, something like that. Oh,
that's funny.
And that guy can get in a Ford GT and rip it around a track.
Really?
CEO Ford of Farley, that guy has my vote of confidence all the way. He got into a Ford Mustang race car and ripped it around a track, and then challenged any other CEO of any other company to come out and race him.
Wow.
But from what I heard, Mr. Farley had an experience where he took a Ford Lightning electric vehicle truck, and he went on a road trip with his family, and he got stranded.
Oh.
Like, he was like, all right, I juiced up, staticked up, I filled up here at this one spot, and then by the time I got to the next one, well, it was in fall, and we were running the heater and the seat heaters and,
right,
and the lights, because it was at night, and then all of a sudden just the battery dips, and it's not prepared for the load that a normal person would put on, but in a computerized perfect setting it would work. But in real world applications it definitely shows its holes. So from the not insider that should definitely be vetted before anybody says anything, the guy that I heard from, he said that all F-150 Lightnings are getting halted from any orders
By Ford.
By Ford.
Not by the buyer.
No.
They're just
by
like,
Ford.
no, we decide we're not
saying,
going to offer it.
Here's your deposit back and thank you.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have two ways of looking at that. First of all, it's like I think Ford jumped into that boat just a little bit too quick before they were ready. But then on the other hand, I also lived through the 70s where they wouldn't stop making monster cars, and they got eaten by so they couldn't change fast enough back then, and now they're changing too fast where they're stepping on each other's feet. It's like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, anytime you want to stop by the shop, come by. We have a 1975 Cadillac Eldorado with a 500 cubic inch motor with a 3-speed transmission that's run out of the front tires of a 4,400 pound vehicle.
Is that a front wheel drive?
Oh yeah, it's front wheel drive
or something.
Yeah, it's got a terrible transaxle that's run off a chain.
Oh my God!
It's that there is nothing efficient about it.
Nothing.
And if we got in it and did Fear and Loathing to Las Vegas from here, it would be maybe 10.5 on the freeway all day. And it's like, hey, wasn't the oil embargo happening like right around then?
I know, right?
Like, oh, well, Mr. Peterson has to have his big red Cadillac with a big 500 cubic inch motor.
Right.
That, by the way, rated 210 horsepower at the time. I have a coworker that his new Civic would eat that Cadillac.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is
all day.
I believe maybe they made race engines bigger, but that 500 was probably the biggest cubic inch because my 67 Lincoln has the 462, and the Cadillac was like, oh, you're going to do the 462? Oh, we'll do a 500, I don't think it ever went higher than that.
Yeah,
but it may have.
There's, for GM, I think production to put in a vehicle for sale, it's got to be the top, because they have the crate motors that were 502s, now 572s, but those were never in production vehicles.
No.
So yeah, I mean, that must have been it. There's got to be a graph somewhere that looks super ridiculous for cubic inches or liters for those in the other parts of the world, and horsepower per cubic inch or cubic centimeter. And oh gosh, I mean, I know that the Ferrari V10s and stuff like that did amazing, and I bet that Cadillac engine is just a boat anchor. If you
tune it up and you bored it out or did all the little fancy stuff on it, it would just be unstoppable. But as it's built, it's
then you would break that terrible transmission that's in front of it.
You blow out all.
You're on to the next terrible.
Because it's front wheel drive. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, it's got to turn around and force like two of the wheels. And
it does terrible things. So I apologize for not remembering. What was your first car?
My first car I only had for a couple of weeks because my older brother decided, hey, I'll pay off that extra $400 that you owe if you let me take it down to to Palm Springs, or where would he go? He went to St. Petersburg, Florida for spring break and blew the transmission. That was a 1970 Cutlass Supreme, brand new dark blue metallic paint job on it, and had about 4 inches of play in the steering wheel. So you had to just try to keep it between the lines. But yeah, basically, details.
If you can keep it between the navigational beacons, man, you're in Florida. As long as you can not hit line, you're just fine, man.
Well, you're a pickup truck guy, so I mean, I really learned how to drive in my sister's 71 F100. 3 in the tree. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I had that now.
I just put my 1967 into the paint shop yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh man, right.
So yeah, the black truck that you've seen before.
Sure, yeah.
It's gonna come out. It's going from long bed to short bed.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, we're doing a short bed kit on it. It's getting bead blasted and sand blasted and. Full new bed. God bless it. You can buy just all new panels for everything now.
Yeah.
And rust coat everything and not worry about it.
You drove that bed to the end though, so that sucker was whooped.
Yeah.
You need a new one on that one.
I swung it wide one time in a private parking lot in a private setting. It was private property, but I was doing a little bit of tire burning, and I had a loose rim in the bed of the truck, and I whip it, and then I whip it 180, kind of scorpion style, and I just hear kaboom,
Smash.
and I get out like a jackass, and I then go look at the bed of my truck, and I just see the upper flap just sitting up a little bit, just a little proud, and you can see the mark where the wheel hit it.
Right.
And I just went and leaned my elbow into it and just kind of mashed it back into place and was like, all right, nobody's going to know until that
didn't happen.
That goes into the body shop. It's all right. But just the rust cracks everywhere.
Yeah.
But man, I want to start working on your Continental. That's what I want.
I would do too. I can't afford it. I got all the underneaths done. I got to do the interior and the exterior now.
As long as it doesn't fall apart, right?
No, exactly.
So,
solid car.
Oh yeah. So the last time that we spoke, you also were working on boat things.
Well, I pulled that boat out in order to put a new inboard motor in it. And once I got out of the water, there was so much damage to the underneath.
No.
And it was like an early 70s boat. It was just really solid. But it's just, do I want to dump another $4,000 on top of another $4,000? It's like, where do you draw the line? You know the old saying, a boat is a big hole in the water where you throw your money. It's like, you do have to kind of come to reality.
Bust out another 1,000.
I know, every time. I know, it's just a race.
Oh, gosh. No, but like, I can understand how, like, just, all right, I'm going to open up this hatch. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to put a little lacquer down and everything will be good.
Yeah.
And then you just see it and you're like, oh, let's just pull the plug on this.
Every time you go out there,
it's ocean
covered in, bird crap, and it's, the sea lion's been up there crapping on it, and it takes an hour and a half to clean the thing before you can enjoy it, and then you just feel gross, and it's like, I'm so used
Sounds like a super fun weekend.
I'm just a racer, I've spent so many years racing, on somebody else's boat. It's different when you're all by yourself out there. It's kind of boring.
Well, and you're doing all the work, and then when it's all over, you're the one that's all tired.
Putting it all away.
And putting it all away. Right. And it's like, well, all right, this sunstroke isn't going to go away until I shore everything up.
Right. Especially with having 4 kids, I'm always like, oh, look at that. Oh, I'm all by myself.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
I'm so used to being with people, it's like just being by myself out in the middle of the ocean kind of sucks.
So did you just turn it into a big art project?
Yeah, I just crushed it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I put so much money into that thing, all the wiring and all new, everything else. I just pulled everything back out of it and just put it aside in case I ever want to do another one.
Yeah,
electronics and
there's of course opportunities out there.
Oh, they're everywhere.
You can see them all in the harbors.
Right.
My wife and I just got back from Santa Barbara.
Did you really?
And went for our 4-year anniversary. So I'd never been there, but she'd been there, and so went and saw the sights, and I went and swam the ocean every day. But like the boats, I could see a few of them were like on that line of being like, hey, do you not want anything to do with this anymore?
Yeah.
Because I know a guy that might be interested.
There's a lot of those.
Gosh.
And these guys are paying huge money to have them stored there in a slip. And they must have waited a decade or two to even get the slip. And
or Daddy gave them the slip,
or maybe
and they gave him the boat, and it's just like,
just keep paying.
I'm gonna have to reupholster it.
Yeah, right.
God,
can I just buy a new one?
Yeah,
ditch this piece of crap. Yeah, ditch it over here, right?
Right. Please. Ooh, that's a good website name. Ditch it over here.
Right, there you go.
Just a friendly donation page.
Right. There's a lot of people out here with, that they just have a car for too long, or they have a boat and they just need a place to get rid of it.
And like, everybody runs out of love at some point with projects and with stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, I had a guy call me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, do you know a guy that could use lumber?" And I'm like, well, geez, what kind of lumber?
I know.
I could put a deck on top of my apartment, I think. I don't think my landlord would notice. And he goes, no. It's this special teak for boats and this, that, and the other. And I went, oh boy, I don't know. Let me text a few people. I text a few people, get everybody in contact, and it was like, well, this guy had a rental space in this guy's shop.
Nice.
And didn't pay out. So he was like, I'm selling whatever's here. And everybody ended up making a really nice 50-50 point to where this the guy that received the teak wood made a couple of really good sales on boats and stuff like that and split it with the guy that sold him the wood. So everybody actually made it out really well.
Yeah.
And it was one of those great things that you hope that everyone would do. You hope. But yeah, I mean, not everybody would do that, and a lot of people definitely want their bigger slice of the pie for whatever reason. Whatever entitled reason they might have.
That teak's hard to come by. I remember built a deck out of teak for the owners of Amway in Michigan. And yeah, this was the kind of thing, if you run out of lumber, it's going to take us about 7 years to get stuff that matches it. Like, oh, no pressure, you know.
Gosh.
So, I mean, that's pricey. I don't even know if you can even buy it anymore. It almost have to be recycled.
Yeah, I think there is, excuse me, definitely there's definitely a mark on that. I don't think you can buy it new.
Right.
But I mean, going back kind of half circle on the whole recycling and making everything of everything. Do you know where Kingsford charcoal comes from?
No.
So, I love trees. This. Oh, my Michigan man. All right. So, Ford Motor Company, when they were first making Model A's, a lot of the interior panels, a lot of the support panels, a lot of the framework, minus the iron leaves and such like that, were made out of wood.
Sure.
And there was always scrap wood. There's always scrap wood, but the guy that invents the assembly line isn't going to let scrap wood go to scrap wood.
Right.
So he says, hey, build warehouse C over there and put kilns in it. And what he did is he took that wood down and he burned it and he made it into charcoal. So Kingsford charcoal.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Got the Ford name right in there.
It stuck the Ford name right in there. And he actually used some of that money to help during the war efforts and sent charcoal as fuel for the troops. And yeah, Kingsford's actually kind of stuck into America. Sorry, Hank Hill and your propane. Yeah. But I mean, really, Kingsford's it is a household name if you think about it.
Right. It sure is. Yeah. It's facts to know and yell, right?
No, it's one of those things where you can walk by it and go, gotcha.
Yeah.
But unless you know the story, unless you know exactly how we got here.
Sure. That's a killer one.
Then you won't know what's next.
I wonder if they're still out of Detroit.
Oh, man. That would be a great question.
I don't know, right? Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't even know what charcoal's made out of, to be honest with you. It was just like, do you know where it's made? Like,
from what I know, like it might be burnt.
Scanning my...
No, man, I don't know. Wade, pull that up.
It's ground up Egyptian mummies, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh, man, I saw Indiana Jones 5, and I don't know what's real anymore. I honestly don't.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. So you and I both know how to work with our hands, right? It's pretty obvious. So do you want to make hamburgers?
No.
Because no.
Okay.
No. Follow me.
Give me
on this
more.
One.
Right.
Follow me. So we can make hamburgers.
Yeah.
We can have health insurance. We can have ocular. We can have life insurance, and we get paid $20 an hour
To make hamburgers?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you want to do that?
No.
Come on, man. I
Not
mean,
really.
what? But I could take a pay cut for not thinking ever again.
Yeah. I don't know. I get hung up on knowing stuff, being a professional at one thing or another. 20 bucks ain't gonna cut it in Monterey, bro.
Dude, $20 ain't gonna cut it in Modesto, my friend. Right? I don't know what you're
the thought of making $20 an hour, God, I remember the times when I could never imagine.
Governor Newsom set everybody up that we got a $20 minimum for fast food workers, which is great, but then we're doing compression economics to where everybody that was making that much more than minimum wage, now their rates aren't going up. So we have this weird compression happening, and I wonder how that's gonna end up totaling out, because I don't feel like the rest of the boats are gonna raise with the tide. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. In my time, it was never a job to have to raise a family.
No, sir. No, sir. I agree wholeheartedly. I just use it as an example of what the median peg is right now.
My comedian buddy's going to get all serious on me. All right, let's do this. I'm just saying that,
I could make some clam linguine jokes right now, but you don't want it.
I started this podcast with the idea of what's next. And I mean, what's next for the middle guy? What's next for the blue collar guy? Gosh. The rich guys are getting richer. We got homeless coming out of our ears. And, and all the jobs seem to be going overseas, or in this welfare state. And it's just like, what's next for us guys that really want something out of life?
Yeah.
Education's not doing it because the education system's dropped the ball. There's, it's like, okay, you want to raise the rate of a McDonald's worker. I guess you almost have to, because there's no other places for these people to go to build a chair or to build a engine block, or it's just it's tough out there. I get it, but those jobs were never meant to be. Those were high school jobs.
No, that
where you
that's
learn
what
responsibility. You learn how to get stomped on. And you learn how to get, everybody's got to go through that.
There's an assistant manager named Ken that you hate.
Of course. He'll end up firing you for drinking in the parking lot or some stupid ass reason, right? You got to go through that part of life.
One can only hope.
I know you can only hope to get fired from a job like that.
No, and yes, it is never meant to be a full-fledged gig for all time,
right? For
sure.
Yeah.
But when that gig's rate gets raised up, and I see craftsmen, I see artists,
right.
I see classic car mechanics in this neighborhood,
mm-hmm.
and they throw their hands up and they go, "Hey, I'm going to move to Gonzales. I'm going to move to North Salinas. I'm going to move to that side of the world." One cat I know moved to just beyond Modesto, and he said, or they, as a voice, have said, classic cars are great, or European cars are great, but the problem is nobody wants to pay for their cars to get fixed anymore. Excuse me, because everything's on a downswing, and who needs to keep their 2003 CLK 320 running when they have their Yaris in the front parking lot or the driveway?
Mm-hmm.
And so all these guys are moving to agricultural stuff. So they're
really?
Yeah, they're moving to tractors.
Sure.
One guy I know just got trained by John Deere, and he's like, dude, I never have to talk to a customer again. I go out, the farmer says, yeah, it broke. Go, I don't know. And
It's over there.
and it's in the field. Best of luck, sweetheart.
Right.
And he goes out and puts his headphones in and jams for 8 hours and walks up and goes, hey, you can start, tilling field tomorrow right at 5 a.m. when you wake up.
Pay
Have
me.
a great day.
Right.
And the check should be in the mail.
Exactly.
Bye-bye.
Right.
And he doesn't talk to anybody, and he goes, this is the greatest thing ever.
Right.
And it's like, oh, right. Like, the luxury and classic car market is a huge thing
Right.
in Monterey. But the guys that don't love it or are in it for the money aren't staying. And so we're having a huge decline in guys that are capable of working on these cars that care enough to either take a little bit of a haircut and work on classic cars and do what you love, or going out and working for a generator company that pays you that much more, plus you have the safety of insurance, which a lot of classic car companies and independent repair shops don't have. And that's the devil of the dealership and the independent shop. Is the independent shop, you are supporting an independent family, you're supporting
Right.
independent workers, but sometimes those shops don't really offer insurance unless you're paying more than Cobra, or they offer lunch breaks, but you have to work after the fact to make up for it. Like there's a lot of weird misdeeds when it comes to independent shops, but there's a lot of great ones out there. But also the dealership is a place to rip you off. So it's
Right.
the 6 to 1, half a dozen, the other kind of devil deal that you want to make.
Yeah.
And it just goes back to know the owner of the mechanic shop that you're working with, or have a person at the dealership that you really trust,
Right.
and hope that they're not taking you for a wild ride.
Yeah. I've always done pretty good in sales. So
Oh,
if I ever get in a pinch, I've gone down to the Dodge dealership
Oh,
and taken
man.
a job for a few months, and it's a whole different world. It's really neat. And I remember the manager saying, no matter how many cars you sell out here, we're not making any money.
No.
It's the repair service out back that's floating this whole organization back here. I was like, really? Even
Yeah.
selling $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 cars, and they're the moneymaker back there. It's like, oh, that's interesting,
Oh, yeah.
right? We're just
Oh,
moving
yeah.
the cars out there so we can get them into the repair shop, basically.
In Southern California, I'm not going to get specific, but Southern California, my buddy worked for a Dodge dealership when the new Challenger came out.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And he said within the first month of their sales, the body shop went up by 380%. Their wheel sales went up by 300%. Like, just all the things that you break, sliding sideways into something
exactly.
was exactly what they
Right.
were making their money
Right.
on. And like the car salesmen were just kind of fist bumping in the
Oh, for
background.
sure.
But the ones that were really making the money was the GM just watching the profit from the parts department go
Exactly.
straight through the sky.
Yeah.
And the body shop guys having stuff to do all the time, but just raking money in for the dealership, but not necessarily anybody else.
Yeah.
But you get insurance when you're at a dealership.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
I think I was working in West Palm Beach, Florida when those first came out. And I was working at a Dodge dealership down there.
Florida,
and you're right,
in a Charger.
The wheels were, huge. The blower systems, though. Because they want the Charger.
Yeah.
But then they want to come back. Oh, what kind of aftermarket stuff can you get? Put
SRT,
this on that.
Their whole line of parts
right.
is three and a half times more expensive than anything on the aftermarket that you can find on summitracing.com.
Right.
But those SRT guys love it so much that they will pay for it, baby. And by the way, best marketing scam in the world. You get those guys to just continually want to pay in.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's like a Ferrari owner.
Yeah. We had one on the showroom floor that the mechanics out back put this blower sticking out of the hood and everything else. It's like you almost had to bring your insurance card in and everything else before you could even test to drive it. And everybody that test drove it was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
That would be a no thanks Tom Hanks from me.
Exactly.
No, I'm good.
It's like you come out there sweating, their skin's a little red, like, yeah, no, can you give me that? It's like, I can dig it. A big football player came in. He wanted that sucker, no, that's too much for me.
I've seen some very strapping gents and very tough guys, as you would see them in like an octagon or a squared circle or something like that. And they get into a race car and they go around Laguna Seca.
Right.
And you take turn 6 flat and you red line going up to 7. Then you hit the corkscrew, watch for the tree and dip in without actually seeing the apex of the next turn.
Oh,
and
see, that's crazy.
I've seen a lot of guys that have broken jaws, broken noses, broken orbital sockets, and they go, ooh! It's a very unnerving feeling going negative G and then off center G because the entrance to turn 8 is off camber, so you're actually leaning into the dirt. And you see a lot of guys go from super confident to like, yeah, man, I can do this. I can do this. Just a couple more laps and I think I can do this. I play Xbox. I got you. Right. I got you. All right. Cool, man. Let's dip some tire. Let's have some fun.
Oh, man. God, I had these, and you see this a lot around Monterey. I don't know. These little, I don't know whether they're be Hondas or whatever. They're 1.5 inches off the ground. Actually, this was a Mustang. They went ripping by me, and I was in the 67 Lincoln and was like, oh, okay,
wait, was
stay
this
away
recently?
from me. Yeah. No, it's like a week ago. It's coming down. And you got a BMW that's chasing him.
Chase the rabbit.
Chasing, exactly. Chasing the Mustang.
Chase the rabbit,
And he just, oh boy! And then the Mustang came to a real quick stop at the light here, and that BMW hit him so hard in the back.
He audio like, you for guys, Irish cricket. Sorry.
That's chirp. But you see that a lot of crazy drivers, and I have to think, are these guys just kids that are used to being on the video games?
I mean, I feel like
you can't press restart when you're out here, dude.
Gosh, man,
game over doesn't apply here.
A lot of these motorcyclists scare me, man.
Organ donors, we call them.
Oh boy, I mean, if you got them to donate, rock and roll, let's do it. But geez, man. Driving through Monterey with all these tourists, like,
oh geez,
people are making left on Lighthouse, people are stopping in the tunnel. Name it. I've seen it because part of my job is delivering and driving cars around this neighborhood.
Yeah,
and gosh, man, the nutty stuff you see that they're just like, oh well, this must be the right way to do it, and they just do their own thing. I saw somebody make a U-turn through the 76 on Lighthouse, go out down Lighthouse towards Pacific Grove. The this is going to be a super local reference for
I know,
all
right?
of you worldwide people. So they go all the way down, and then they make a left while they're in the wrong side of the road into Gianni's Pizza. And it, like, while I'm getting gas, it was just like, huh. So this is where we're at.
That's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it. And I want to make T-shirts that say "No Left on Lighthouse." I want to make a T-shirt that says, "Hey, by the way, if you take a right in Monterey, you can take a couple more, and you'll get right back where you need to be. And by the way, nobody's gonna mug you on Foam Street.
Right.
You don't need to worry about it."
I get their thinking, though. I mean, there's no left turn as long as you're on this side of the road. But if you get on the other side of the road, well, then you can take a...
No. If you are going in the... Okay, hold on.
I'm trying to make sense here.
Let me okay, so 121B
Right.
of... Okay, so there's the what's next rule.
Yep.
Okay, and so...
It's Miami drivers.
Okay, yeah. That sounds like some Baja Mexico
Take a left
drivers.
from the right lane or something.
Oh, Baja Mexico driver. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, actually, I tried to get a rental car, and they're just like, "You're not going to take it to Mexico." I was like, "I was going to," and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to let you do that," because they
no.
just kind of drive by Braille down there,
Yeah,
and they
well,
will
yeah.
sideswipe you as you're going by, and you're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Really? They do that?" And then I got down there, and was like, "Oh yeah, every car down here is just all four corners is just banged up.
Yeah.
They just feel their way through the city."
I had a guy hand me a piece of trim for a VW because I rented a VW Bug
Yeah.
that was a convertible, and I got my hat on, my drug rug.
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm just jamming down this dirt road, and it was just like, and oh man, and like I get out and I pull out my passport, my ID, and
Right.
the piece of paper that the rental car agency in Ensenada gave me that was handwritten.
Right.
And I kind of like, and he goes, nah. And
He didn't want your car.
And he walked back to his truck, and I was like, no, excuse me, sir. Sir. And he walks back, and he had the exact piece of VW Beetle trim that he swiped off the side of my rental car.
That's
He
funny.
held it up, and he goes, "It's okay."
It's okay.
And I went,
On your way.
"Wait, no, it's not okay. No, I'm a first generation American, and my dad wouldn't teach us Spanish because we were American."
Right.
So
I know I look like I should be speaking Mexican to you, but
I should
Spanish,
be
but
able
I
to
can't.
have a really vivid conversation with you right now. But all I know is, no, yo responsable es un problema para mí. And he literally went, and like
See ya.
I ran up to his truck, and he goes, "It's okay." And he handed me 50 pesos, $5.
Right.
It was right around like 680 at the time. And I remember being like, damn it. And then I snapped the trim back on, and I went,
It's okay.
doesn't look that bad. So like now I have like another Hawaiian shirt that I'm just kind of like rubbing along the side, trying to get the little scrape out.
Yep.
And then we found this place called Lobster Larry's, and it was 10 pesos for a full meal with a lobster tail, and you got
In 6 beers.
and you got a tiny shot of Jose Cuervo
Ooh.
and a tall Tecate.
Oh, nice.
And I set down the 50 pesos, and I said, "All right, you tell me and my friend when we're done."
Right.
And we just sat there and ate lobster tacos and drank Jose Cuervo Gold and
mercy.
Tall Boy Tecates. And at one point he goes, "Hey, the chefs, they think you're funny. You
Have more
stay,
food."
you stay." And so we just hung out all night, and then when we turned the Bug in, we went and we washed it,
Yeah.
and we put the top up and like rolled all the windows, like made it look really non-suspect. And like we even had the hanging pina colada air freshener in it, and I remember like rolling it up, and there's just two well-meaning gents just smoking out of a water pipe off to the side of the building, and I went, Returno.
Is that a word?
I'm not sure. And they literally went, it's okay.
It's okay.
And I left the keys, never a charge in the world. I don't know if those guys even looked at that car ever again,
That's
but
funny.
I had a Baja California experience of getting crashed into, and it was okay.
By a cop. See ya.
He wasn't. He had a badge. I know he had a badge. That's what I remember.
Probably, maybe was some type of authority.
Oh goodness, man.
Oh, where'd you grow up, man? You grew up right here in California, huh?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I grew up in the Bay Area.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So, if you're on the map, San Francisco Bay Area, you go east, East Bay, Contra Costa County, San Ramon, Danville, Pleasanton, right in there.
There's nice spots in there.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Beautiful area. Really great place to grow up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Kind of idealistic, really.
Kind of, huh?
Yeah.
It's hard to go anywhere else.
It honestly, it was weird growing up there, and maybe I had like its own experience because I was the school mascot, but I was also the car guy. But I wore a bunch of different hats.
Nice.
And the thing was, man, it was a little whitewashed. Like really,
Sure.
we didn't have a lot of worries. Just a lot of worries in general.
Right.
Like what was going on? Oh man, there's riots and fires in Oakland, but that's on that side of the five.
Yeah, right.
Like we're gonna be all right.
We're protected over here,
we're protected. But no, it was a super great place to grow up, and the school system was great. And I just got out of high school, and I was like, I'm getting out of this one horse town.
Yeah.
And Southern California, Orange County, LA, San Diego, Encinitas. I mean, I was all over Southern California.
Sure.
Then made it back to the East Bay for a little bit there. And it was weird in the time that I was gone to Southern California. It's like, oh man, I can wear a tank top and flip flops to a pub down at the street and just have a couple cocktails and walk home. And
5 years later, you've turned into a Jimmy Buffett or something.
Right. And then you get back to the East Bay after being in Mission Beach or Pacific Beach.
Right. And
I'm walking down the street with my flip flops, and it's like, what's going on, Cheech? And it's like, really? Like no, man, I'm just comfy.
It's just me, man.
I'm just comfy, and like I was gonna go eat a really big fried chicken sandwich, so like a nice loose shirt felt like a good idea. Like I don't know, flip flops. I didn't want to wear socks tonight, but I'm not going to a bar, so don't worry about it.
No worries.
But like it's definitely a lifestyle switch, and coming to Monterey, it's so weird because even before we started rolling today, we were talking about the microclimates and how things are very specific to a very specific small slice of the town, and what is appropriate to wear, say, or do.
Oh, it's that far too, huh?
Oh man, I'm telling you, there are microclimates of just what would you call it? It's almost like just
Not fashion, but of just a mindset. Or,
public
right.
behavior.
Yeah, okay.
Because, you know, you and I, we could go to Carmel Valley right now, go and sit down and have a steak sandwich at the Running Iron, no big deal. But we're both sitting here. You got a polo shirt on with a collared shirt. I got my Hawaiian shirt on and my flip-flops, and it's like, what are you two doing here?
Right.
But then we go to Carmel by the Sea, and we stop by and try to get, you know, some ahi poke, whatever, down the street on Ocean, and it's like, oh, you two guys are great. Thank you for coming.
Right.
But then you go to Seaside with that, and it's like, hey, man.
Yeah.
What you guys doing here?
Yeah, right.
And there are so many microclimates of what is acceptable in the Monterey Peninsula area that it actually it should be some sort of a study at some point.
You know, it's especially coming from the other side of the country. You know, you have ideas of what California is, and the ideas that people have that live here, and it's not quite what you think it is. You know, and especially like you say, you can go 10 miles and you're in a whole different feel.
Oh, man.
You know, it's crazy.
10 miles is a long distance.
I know,
you know?
Right.
But coming from ice fishing and pond hockey and, you know, and by the way, a different, sorry for saying it, but a different generation. I mean, I was born in 87, but my oldest brother was born in 68.
Really?
So, and my dad was born in 38. So I've seen the progression of how men treat each other and how everyone kind of treats each other. But I mean, even when within this little micro and macro diagram that we have here, it's wild to think about the different ways we can carry each other in just a small little footprint.
Right. It's funny, I used to think of like Santa Cruz, say, as everybody just kind of minding their own business.
Oh, man.
You know, it's
Santa
just
Cruz
like,
was good at that for a long time.
It's not like that anymore.
No, sir. No,
you
sir.
know, it's like the hippies, you know, just do your own thing, man. You just be you, bro. You know, you do what I do, or we're going to chase you out of this town. It's like it's a whole different, completely different than what I thought.
Have you seen the regulations that we have, sir?
No.
Oh, yeah. For Santa Cruz, you have a regulation on how cool and hippie you can be, but there's a line that we've drawn.
It's weird.
And it is weird. It is weird that those areas have gone from be free, be you, be me, be us, to, hey, there's the line.
Right.
And let's have a conversation about the line.
Right.
And brother, I love everybody.
Yeah.
And I love the tourists. I'll say that.
Of course.
Because
makes it what it is.
And they make it what it is, and they allow so many people to live in one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Right.
So, yeah, I love the tourists. If they could stopping in the middle of the tunnel or making left on Lighthouse, whatever. But what I'm saying is even they add the spice to it. So when we're talking about Santa Cruz, there's so many great things.
Yeah.
But when you're charging $4 an hour for parking and the ticket is $89 if you're a minute over that, and they have people circling waiting for that moment.
Oh, they do, truly.
And
it's a money grab.
Gosh, I believe it was Santa Monica, California. They actually took the time and the money to insert weighted pads in parking stalls. So if you have an hour left on your car and you take off, the pad knows that it's unweighted and the meter goes back to zero. Nobody gets your layover.
You know, I used to do that all the time. Hey, man, I got another hour on here. Pull in over here.
Oh, I would wait
They
people
can't
down.
do that anymore.
No.
That's
No.
funny. They find any little niche of trying to help each other out. How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you? Well, just a few years ago, I remember there was a mall in Sydney where the local Sydney, Australia, pardon me.
Yeah.
They were going to shut down this entire mall that had like luxury stores in it and everything. The cops were going to chain and lock the doors because the mall had staffed scantily clad women on roller skates to go fill people's meters.
I'm sure it was
they wouldn't get tickets while they were going and spending money at the mall.
Right.
So there's these like just throwing and they wouldn't throw any more than like 10 minutes in, but they're just roller skating in a perpetual circle. And I'm 92.5% somebody's gonna correct me on this, but I think it was Sydney, and it was one of those things where like the city council was like, how dare you try to take money away from the public coffers.
Right.
And it's like, no, you guys have a weird money grab and we have girls on roller skates. What's the problem?
Right. I don't have a problem here.
I mean, I know Del Monte shopping center is having a problem right now because the rent's so expensive, and now they're trying to call it a California monument and a historic site because the architect who built it also built some sort of it was it was some sort of art exhibit in France that is now a permanent art exhibit, and he also did the Del Monte Center. Look that up, Jamie.
I may be wrong on that. In fact, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they tried to designate it, but it was made in 1968, I believe, if memory serves.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all through the eyes of the beholder. What is important to us right now? What is important to us as a collective right now?
Mm-hmm. That's the way it goes.
Gosh.
There's just so many examples right now going on. It's just crazy. Yeah, I think it's probably the scantily clad women were probably shot down by the wives, the women on the board.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know if we like this.
Yeah.
Whether that's,
I mean, gosh, and the Chamber of Commerce and the board in Carmel and Monterey, they don't even have scantily clad women, but they got a lot of women arguing.
Yeah,
they got a lot of gents chest bumping each other outside of City Hall in Carmel. Have you heard about that? There was a city councilman that voted against the building of a huge center in Carmel by the Sea that's off of Dolores somewhere. And it's been just a pit for years. And this investor from Monaco said that he wanted to take care of it, wanted to put houses in it, as well as retail, as well as parking. Like, you want the gamut of things that you want in Carmel, you got all three.
There it is.
And they've shot him down on every corner, and then they approved all of his building plans except for... do you see that parking lot over there, like a block and a half over? That's technically part of your land if you look at your deed. And that wall was made by the guy that patented cinder blocks. So it's very important that we keep that wall forever as keeping Carmel culture pure. And this billionaire from Monaco is like, yeah, I'll cut it out of the ground and move it wherever you want. well, I'll make a statue out of this thing. That's
Right.
fine. And they were like, no. It needs to stay where it is.
Right.
And, preserved, and there needs to be a plaque, and there needs to be fanfare. And in the end, they took this all the way to the city council, and they were like, oh, no, the wall stays, and so sorry, but you must find a way around this, which is going to cost this guy a couple $100,000 more. And a business owner that is just down the street from there approached the city councilman and was like, hey, by the way, that might draw more business to my business when it's all said and done. And what you're doing is you're halting progress. And this councilman rushed up on him and kind of and just bumped their chest against them. And the business owner flipped his cap off or something like that. And they got in the most Carmel scuffle of all time.
I know that was
but
throwdown.
It was a gent down, sir. A gent down. But it's come down to that, where there's a billionaire that wants to invest in downtown Carmel and create commerce for everybody. But we are now at the point that Carmel wants to keep itself so pure of what it is. And the Betty White and the Clint Eastwood days of,
right.
Hey, elect me mayor, and I'm going to push through everything that I want.
Right.
And then
I'll just buy everything else.
And yeah, what I don't like, I'll buy. And it's like, well, nobody from either of our generations really has a say,
right.
of anything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
In that neck of the woods, all the way out to Greenfield, down Carmel Valley.
He probably did protect a lot of stuff, though, and coming in here and scooping up a lot of stuff. I want to keep it the way it was. Well, I kind of got that. I remember being in Michigan, and I read an article about that, where he was buying as much in Carmel as he could just to try to keep it the way it was.
And there are refuges.
That's pretty cool.
And totally, there are refuges from
yeah.
the efforts of what he's done. And there are beautiful plots of land. But also, your brothers and your sisters need apartments to live in this neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
We can protect land, but then you guys get to build mega McMansions down Carmel Valley Road, but there's not enough room for apartments for all those nice folk that staff the Carmel Valley Ranch and the Quail and all those places. So it's such a catch-21 that I always find myself in, especially since I moved to this area, just oh man, what can we do? What is next? Right. And that's why I always love coming and talking to you, because the what's next is in my mind, our generation striving for, hey, we're gonna right the ship. We're gonna make this happen. And I saw a pretty off-color meme the other day. I don't know if I want to call it off-color, but it seems a little altruistic. But it said families from the 1700s. I want my kids to learn and be healthy and be happy. Mm-hmm. Families from the 1800s. I want my kids to move to a city and learn and be healthy and be happy. Parents from the early 1900s, same thing. I want my kids to learn and be healthy and be happy. Parents from the 1940s on, the boomers, as we say. God, I never want them to experience war, and I want them to be healthy and go to school and be happy. And then after that, it just kind of said, you're on your own, you little jerks.
Right.
And it kind of feels like the cocaine of the 1980s kind of really messed up what was set up for my generation.
Right.
Because when I grew up in the 90s, it was like, neighbor Ron has himself a new speedboat and a new hot rod, and his company's doing great. And that neighbor has, everybody was building a pool, everybody was doing all this stuff. And then when my generation graduates high school, we get to the greatest real estate crash since 1928. Right. And it's like...
There's a lot of factors to that, man.
There's NATO. No. I will not say definitively
on that shit. There's NATO, there's shipping jobs overseas, there's lack of anybody working. I remember those days, man. Dad had a new speedboat. We're thinking about moving. We're getting, the lumber company's really rocking in the 70s. You know what I mean?
You were a lumberyard kid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man.
Grew up in the lumber companies.
And when it was booming, it was booming, baby.
Right. My brother got.
I knew all those
college.
Guys that had ski boats, and it was
right.
When skiing season's over, we got our the
jet skis. And
the snow bunnies, the snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles, yeah. You know what a snowmobile is? Wow. Okay, you just blew me away there.
No. I've ridden a snowmobile across a lake, sir. But I knew those guys that had the 65 Mustang with the big fat wide tires.
Sure, right.
They had the Sanger jet boat the Sanger jet boat that could also tow the kids around, and then they had two snowmobiles that had the big fat tracks on them.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, man, I'm a plumber, but I take at least 5.5 or 6 weeks off a year. And that was what the 1990s were.
Right.
And so as I'm going through school, I'm like, oh my God, all I need to do is know how to sweat pipe.
Yeah,
and
right.
I can literally have a jet boat and a drag Mustang and a place out in Arnold.
You could.
I could.
Back then, it really was. I mean, you had to watch your P's and Q's, and you had to do it right.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is
right.
he did it right, and he left some for his kids and did all the right things. But in this day and age, dude, that is
right
unobtainium.
Right.
That is
it's
you
obtainable.
Are high on angel dust.
You almost have to do it a different way, though. I was born in '66. You were 62, somewhere around there. We saw 63, and especially even I remember the heydays of the '80s. It was like the beginning of the '80s were rocking and rolling. There was business
bowling
going on.
ball
The second half
bags
of the '80s,
full of cocaine.
Oh man, it was crash. Like you said, we were going through real estate, and then boom, back up, and then crash, boom. Maybe it's just because we were in lumber. And we just followed the building industry.
But
we've
same
seen this.
though.
Wham.
Yeah, because that is judging on what's being built. I mean,
right.
You really were going through that.
Yeah.
But did you see any recoup in the 90s? Did it feel like it came back?
In different ways, though. There's just always constantly changing. So we got the computer science come in. So it's like
that was a big thing for so many people in my family, that it was like, they're learning computers and they're going to be part of the .com craze.
Sure.
And that boom and bust. I mean,
some did. Some went crazy with it, But
I knew guys that had stuff that was valued at $130 a share, and day that it started 13 cents a share. Just
Sick.
The carpet getting swept out from underneath you.
Yeah.
But that's, the early version of crypto or Bitcoin or any of those, photorealism crypto that they're using now. I mean, it's all been valued up and then straight into the trash can.
Exactly, right. So you just have to find your niche. And I've heard people say, oh, this guy's got this going, that going, this going, that going. And it's like, well, just throw it all at the wall, man. See what sticks. That's the only way you can do it nowadays. Because I have no
good at something,
idea.
Yeah, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Right.
And I honestly just realized that myself after years and years of just kind of beating myself up. And I said, my truck's going into paint.
Yeah.
And when it comes out of paint, I have a friend who's a graphic artist and a letterer, and he's up in Santa Cruz. He's going to come down and letter my truck, and I'm going to start my own side business for real, and it's going to be called Gypsy Soul Garage. You can find it on any social media as this comes out, but it's rare and unique automotive parts acquisition. So anything that you need to find, whether
NOS, what do you mean?
Anything.
Really?
If you want to find a piece of trim for your car, perfect. How much do you want to spend?
Right.
Because I can find you the NOS.
There's all kinds of levels of different parts and pieces.
There are levels,
sure.
and there's levels of guys that don't want to give up their parts, where I have a relationship with them, and I can talk to them, and I've been doing this for a while, so it's one of those things to where it's a nice transition into something that I can do,
right?
And it's a quote from Adam Carolla. Back in the 50s and 60s, you could just have one funnel leading into your coffer, and that would fill up every month. And the month you dump it out, start over again, and that starts filling back up again for the next month. And nowadays it is 15 different funnels all coming into one coffer, but they're all dripping at different rates.
It may just be exactly. I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's all coming in at different rates. It may just be a trickle.
Yeah.
But if you got 15 of them,
exactly.
It adds up.
And if that trickle turns into a prosperous flow of income, rock and roll, we're on our way.
Shut a couple down, double down on the one that's working.
Yeah.
It's the way it works nowadays.
And it is, I hate the word hustle, but it is, hey, look on the horizon, see what's coming, try to stay ahead of the 8 ball, but I always say, what is the nearest gator to our boat?
Right.
What is the next thing? And, when you work, when my wife works probably about 50 hours a week, I probably work about the same, right in that wheelhouse. And when I text her, hey, sent you the rent for this month.
Yeah.
And then this month, I don't know what pushed me to do it. I was feeling goofy, I guess, but I put hashtag one more month. Because, man, since the shutdowns and everything, it feels like one more month is a blessing.
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
right.
Gas just got over $6 a gallon here in town, brother.
I saw that.
Damn it. Like, I don't want to point fingers at anybody. There's no point in the administration that would cure this. No one person. This is just a slew of bad decisions that have been made all the way to where we are. But what about the guy that is the groundskeeper at somebody's house in Carmel that has to drive from 45 miles away in his Toyota Tundra, making $12 a gallon at $6 a gallon? And then once he loads up all the tree branches and all the bullshit, now he's down to 6.5.
Yeah.
All the way back. Like, the bottom rung is getting the hell kicked out of him on this.
Right.
And my old boss that was a multi-billionaire does not care what a gallon of gas costs, but all of us on this lower end,
Right.
man,
Right.
that 87 just to get around, that kicks the hell out of you.
Right. Right. It's doable. It's barely doable. But
yeah.
there's been times where you're like, I gotta pay the heat bill. I gotta pay the electric, and I don't have enough gas to make it to work every day. I mean, I've been there years and years ago, but it's just like I remember that. I can't imagine $6 a gallon.
Dude, could you imagine owning a Pontiac Firebird right now?
Because I was in construction. You're driving F-250s, and it's like loaded. You don't go anywhere without thousands of pounds worth of tools in the back.
Yeah. Just in the toolbox and the diesel box itself, you're already at load.
Right. Well, the answer was always, let's get a diesel because that's cheaper, but that's not quite the same anymore either.
No.
The diesel might even be over gas now.
Diesel is currently over gas right now. Yeah.
Because it takes so much more to refine it, right? No.
It's the magic peanut dust that you have to sprinkle over the top of it.
Exactly.
That's what it's about.
There was something.
Yeah.
Dust.
Oh my gosh, man! I really want to ride a motorcycle again.
Do you?
I do.
Not here, man. Maybe somewhere in Oklahoma.
See,
where
and there you go.
But maybe a cow you have to avoid, or
here. I rode a motorcycle about 4 blocks in this neighborhood about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
And I almost got clipped probably 3 times.
Oh, really?
In just 4 blocks.
You're trying to get the bug back, but
I loved wrapping throttle and I loved getting through it. And then when I got back, I put the kickstand down. My foot's shaking a little bit. I got the jujubes back. I got the sugars back in me. And then I went, no, I'm just gonna die by the hands of a tourist from Kansas, which is from Oklahoma, which is the weirdest part. And it's like, I'll rent a bike when I'm out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but no, not around here, man.
I picked up a motorcycle a few years back just so I could make it from North Carolina up to Michigan. I got kind of stranded there, so I picked up this big Yamaha.
Oh, that sounds like a reasonable thing to do. Just buy a motorcycle to drive multiple states.
I had to get a friend over there, and I just want to make sure he made it safe. But I knew once I got there I was going to be stranded, so I brought an extra grand, so I threw on a motorcycle. It's been sitting in my son's garage for I don't know, 4 years.
Oh, it's still there.
It's just sitting there.
Oh,
so
coming to a clip near you. Yeah, oh my gosh.
No, my daughter, she just got some acreage up there so she can get a horse farm, and I thought, well, she's like, I can't afford an RV. I want to stay up there. And it's like, well, hell, Troy's got my old motorcycle sitting there. Put an ad out and see if you can do a swap for an RV. And sure enough, some guy came along.
Oh, no way.
Swapped her out for a sweet old 35-foot RV so she can put on her land. It's good, because I knew I was never going to ride that thing again.
I was going to say,
so big.
I thought that you were going to put off-road tires on that and give that to her and be like, there you go. You can go out on the farmland with that. Right. It's got off-roader tires on it.
Some off-road, what do they call them?
Just some paddle tires.
Yeah, right. Something. No. So some guy was stoked to have it.
Fabulous.
So
I love it when a plan works out.
Exactly.
Man.
It wasn't even a plan, but it was like, I don't know what to do with it. I can't sell
it. Never is a plan.
So just let it sit there. We'll figure out something. Sure enough,
dude. And 38 foot. Did you say
30? I think it's a 34, 36, somewhere around there. But
gosh,
yeah.
Bigger than my apartment in Pacific
Grove.
Grove.
It's got the vinyl siding. It doesn't have the fancy, but hey, it's perfect. Perfect for her.
Vinyl siding is fancy to me.
I know, right? Oh, fancy.
It's not plywood, bitchin'. Oh man. So what do you think? Man, I wish I've been thinking about this all day, and what do you think that the 2024 election's going to bring us? Because I'm hoping for like this weird kind of convergence of everything happening. I'm seeing RFK Jr. go independent. I'm seeing people dropping out. And do you feel like we're going to aim kind of more towards North Star? Are we just going to stay Hatfield and McCoy's for a little bit here?
It's going to be ugly.
Huh?
Either way.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a scary time. I don't want to get too political, but
No. I want to, because the thought's always there. Like, all right, so what's next? I start this little side company. It starts doing well. All right, maybe I get a storefront off of Route 66, and maybe I start a little gas station with little trincaderos, and you can buy old car parts if you want. Like, these are things that go in my head as I'm buzzing off to sleep in the middle of the night.
Right.
But is it even close to fathomable at this point with the regulatory commissions and all the things that go into literally anything?
Yeah.
Literally anything. Like, I hear one of my friends is into boat insurance right now. That's his new racket.
Right.
And
more untangible things to sell in America.
Yeah,
it sucks, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, it's just more untangible shit.
It's
to flip dollars.
I 100% agree with you, because I saw a Sylvester Stallone quote the other day that was from the new TV show Tulsa King. It's not a great TV show, but they say there's a guy going, "Oh, what do you think about crypto and NFTs and this, that, and the other?" And he goes, "I don't know. You can't touch it. You can't look at it. You can't put ketchup on it."
Right.
And he's meant to be the Luddite. He's meant to be the one that doesn't understand the way of the future. But all the guys that I know that have NFTs got their lunches eaten.
Yeah.
Like, they're out thousands of dollars over this stupid Ponzi scheme.
Right.
Of a picture that you can literally copy and paste on the internet.
Right.
And so it's like, I want the best for everybody around me. One of my coworkers just got engaged. Bless his heart. I just had my 4-year anniversary, and another one of my coworkers, that's a good friend of mine, he also is having a child in a few months. And all three of us are looking down the same barrel of, different eventualities, but we're all moving forward with our families, in a way that I never, considered myself. I always thought I was going to be Peter Pan over here, just hot rods and motorcycles, never grow up, and who cares? But I'm seeing the guys around me literally grow up and become men and become fathers.
Right.
And it's like, holy shit, dude, like, I wish there was so much more for you.
Yeah.
When I was born, so I am 6 months away from the age that my mom was when she had me.
Really?
I was her fourth child.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was the last one in line.
Right.
She was 30 years old, and I'm going to be that age. And I have 2 corgis, 2 race cars, 2 old trucks.
What do you, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, you need a pair. But I don't have the 4-bedroom house that she had. I don't have, the different amenities that generation has. pardon me, and it feels really weird. Like, just to be like, hey, so like we're thinking about going maybe kayaking next weekend, and that's gonna be like our big out. And I remember them going to Spain for a few weeks, or going to, Mexico for multiple weeks on end. And it's like, oh, no, this generation, we're working hand to mouth. We are working, and that time off, we're not getting paid, baby.
Right. It just seems like over the decades they've taken little pieces at a time.
Chip away. Just,
you know what I mean?
Just keep chipping, man.
Think about the can't even think of the word now. My grandpa worked at GM for years and years, and he got a retirement. What do you call it? What's it called when you get a retirement?
Gold watch.
I mean, you get payments like what they used to get.
Like a retirement stipend.
Right. Well, he got payments. He got paid.
Yeah.
Even though pension. That's an unknown word anymore.
I didn't know it.
In the auto industry, he retired with a big pension for driving a high-low.
And the United Auto Workers are striking right now because they're getting hosed. And they're getting hosed. They got a better deal than a lot of guys I know, but at the same time, you got a union, get yours, boo-boo.
Being a Detroit guy, watched in the auto industry what it's done since the 50s, I see the auto workers striking. It's like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Are you trying to put us under? But I don't know the reality of it. It's like I am always still like, I want to buy an American car, and everybody's like, dude, it's just a bunch of stock owners that are from all over the world. Nobody owns Ford any money from America. It's like, oh, okay, you're right. I know.
Yeah,
but still,
you can
taking our fabric out from underneath us, I guess is what I'm saying.
So yeah, so you could buy a Toyota Tundra tomorrow, and there is a larger percent of that Toyota Tundra built on U.S. soil than a Chevrolet or a GMC 1500, which are mostly assembled in Mexico and built in Mexico. And so I know construction guys where that their company says you can only drive American truck. So what they meant is Ford, Chevy, GM, Dodge. And so everybody shows up, and one engineer showed up. You get your ass off the job site. Took our trucks. And they were mad about it. And guess what? He was able to go here.
Right.
More of my truck was built here.
Yeah.
My truck's more American than yours, technically, as we stand.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, well, they only assembled the doors and the body and most of the frame in Mexico, and then they shipped it over.
We're freaking humans. We're just going to be like that. We're just going to be like that. It's like, what, Tesla? I'm not driving a Tesla. It's an American car. It's like, oh, you're right. Oh, I like Tesla.
Yeah. Until you talk about the lithium ion mining.
I know.
And then,
it's like it's all over the place. It's like,
well, and that's the beauty is we all get to have that discord and that conversation.
Yeah.
But the problem is the people that make decisions.
Right.
They are 8 stories above all of us and don't give a fuck what we have to say.
I used to say, well, at least even if it's built in Mexico, at least the profits are coming back to America.
Preach.
Nope, it's not. It's all stockholders. It's all stocks from people all over the world. If you look at it,
yeah,
it was like I'm just talking out of my butt. I don't even know what I'm talking about here. It's just a world program now.
Yeah, and that's why, in my feeble and humble mind, borders are kind of just a weird gray zone.
Borders? Oh, geez.
Yeah, borders are just a weird gray zone to transfer money one way and another without having to actually have it go through the correct lanes.
Right.
And when I say that, I'll mention Fuji Heavy Industries. Fuji Heavy Industries in the 40s built Japanese bombers to bomb America and anyone else who was not part of the Axis group. And Fuji Heavy Industries ended up becoming, ended up buying a small motorcycle company that became Subaru.
Really?
So Subaru was Fuji Heavy Industries, and then Subaru was bought half by GM in the mid 2007, 8-ish area, and they held the lion's share of Subaru.
Did they really?
They sure did. Yeah, GM sure did.
Wow.
And it was Subaru built with love.
Yeah.
Like it was always, we're all-wheel drive.
Chevy love.
Chevy love, baby. Don't get me off track now. But then GM was like, we're not making a nickel off these guys. We thought that they were gonna be, selling to the people with Labradors and going to the ocean every day. Why the hell aren't we making any money? They sell. Toyota comes in. Does a shared vehicle platform with Subaru. So Toyota builds the transmission, Subaru builds the engine. They do a part in building the body, and wow, it's super profitable.
They made an amazing product.
Yeah, they sure did.
Holy
the
crap,
A86
dude.
or the BRZ, whatever you want to call
Foresters, seen those
Oh,
things with
yeah.
350,000 miles on them, and they're still like brand new.
it. Huh?
How did they do that? What? How's that?
And on top of that, like more torque, better gas mileage.
I know.
It's one of those things to
Right.
where, given the proper support, given the proper amount of funding and research, look at this. You can make a super cool
done.
product.
Yeah. Well, my buddy that was all into cars when I was younger, he always would say they build these cars so where they're unbreakable, and then they dial it back
Yes.
to where it's going to need, to be replaced. And it's like,
Just
well,
a
why
little
don't they
bit.
just make it bulletproof? Well, then they'd never sell another car. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I am as dumb as I look. Thank you.
Oh no, it's one of those, like, Wade, what was your first car?
68 Valiant.
Woo!
Oh boy, 2-door, 4-door.
4-door.
Oh yes, sir. So you were able to bomb to the Foster's Freeze with all your friends.
It was gold.
Oh, look out. Could it be any better?
I mean, that's double cheeseburger and a shake territory right there. And that's what I'm saying is you have that connection
Right.
with that first car, whatever it was. And you have that memory with those buddies. Man, I feel bad for my nephews coming up that they have one of these modern, you got a Prius, rock and roll, buddy. It'll get you 39 miles a
What
gallon.
was your first car?
was
Just by
a-
years.
My first car I bought brand new was a 2003 Subaru WRX.
Oh, it's an 03.
Yeah, that's the car that
You
I
didn't
took.
have the beater cars.
So that's the car that I took racing, and that I blew up way too often.
Right.
So that is when I got the 19.
Well, that screws up my point. But what I was
no.
trying to get
That
to.
is when I, when the race car was blown up.
Yeah.
Was when I was driving the 1980 Chevrolet Love
80.
truck.
Right.
With disc brakes in the front, not power brakes. But it was a California step side, and it had sparkle purple paint. So
It was from a different era, though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
The guy that I bought it
Right.
from in San Jose, South San Jose, pardon me. I remember exactly what he sounded like. He was just like, "Hey man, so my dad built this truck, and he's real proud of it, and you gotta pay up for it."
Right.
And then I just hear from the back, meow, and the guy comes like kind of shuffling out, and he explains to me how his cousin wrapped the dash.
Oh, right.
And put the gauges
Oh,
in.
yeah, right.
And how his aunt did the seats.
Sure.
And the door
And
panels,
bolsters
and I was just like,
oh, she did the cards and everything, huh? Ooh.
yeah, and I was just like, all right, there's $2,200. And as I'm sliding him the money, he goes, and it won't pass smog. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, no. And I fought to get that thing smog. But yeah, that was my beater. That was taking girls on dates,
right,
and having it start overheating,
yeah,
or
right.
Replace the points when we died.
You do that with your eyes closed right now.
I can, yes, sir. And we were driving through the MacArthur Tunnel in the Bay Area, and 62 miles an hour. Just screaming in fourth gear,
really,
and then just and
bad training,
just the RPM starts dropping, and then it starts kind of and it starts popping and farting out of the carb, and this beautiful girl sitting next to me that I shouldn't have taken all the way to the Grand National Rodeo at the Cow Palace in this pile of shit truck. But we're going through the MacArthur Tunnel. I'm like, no, don't worry. We're going to make this. I've done this a bunch of times. Never done this before in my life. And we finally get on the downhill right after the tunnel. And I just throw it in neutral and start flying down. Then all of a sudden I'm like, huh. Yeah, I don't have really a great way to stop.
Details.
Yeah. Okay. So put it in gear, slow down, pull off to the side, and she's like, my dad's a car guy. He can come out any second. And don't you worry, honey. I got this. Walked over, threw another set of points in, didn't gap them in the slightest.
Of course not.
Just does it run. Yes, it does.
Just fired right back up.
Fired right back up, and
those were the days.
I drove her back to her parents' house, and she gave me a great big hug, and her dad gave me the wave from the porch, and I'm driving it back, and it starts sounding like a Model T.
Your differential's on fire,
and just it's popping and farting going down the road, and it ends up dying about 4 blocks from my parents' house, and now I have to call my dad and tell him to get his truck and a chain and drag my ass up the driveway, and we get it in there, and hot damn, did those points, I must have got them so close because they had a spot weld on both the faces of the points. I must have just went zero lash, send it.
It was dark. There was a good looking girl in my car. What do you want from me?
I just needed to get home, man. I just needed to get home.
It just was when my dad would bring home a new car, it was so much different than my car. Say, when I was in high school, I had what the heck was it? A 77 Ford Granada.
Yes, sir.
With a 302 that,
what was it?
Came with a leaking gasket. And
was it like pea soup green? That's the only way I see Granadas in my head.
It was the most beautiful Granada you've ever seen, and I shit you not, it was black with a half red velour top. The coupe, the 2-door with it was the Carmagia package, so everything was wrapped in leather. It had that big trim piece that went around everything, and it was just so pimp. I mean, it was like an LTD that you put into a shrinker, man. It was like
that's a Buick Deuce and a quarter.
Oh my god,
it's beautiful.
I loved that car.
Oh,
dude. It was
hell
so
yeah.
cool. It had the fancy was it the burl wood
interior,
yes, sir. The old Fords.
Yeah.
You might even have some of that in your old pickup truck.
There's some laying around.
Thing.
There's some laying around.
Yeah, but it was so much different. And what I was trying to get to is like if you buy a car now, I don't know, what was it? It was probably 15 years old at that time. You look at a 15-year-old car now, it looks like the same as the new ones.
No, they look the same as the new ones.
I got the Toyota. Oh, remember? Like, nobody gives a shit. They all look the same, dude.
Tesla hasn't changed their body style for the Model S in 11 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I
should know that,
don't
but
change. No, you shouldn't know that. That's a good
I'm
thing.
glad I don't know that.
No, I actually, so my truck that I just put in the paint shop, 1967, right?
Yeah.
So for a 67 long bed, big block truck with power steering and power brakes, in 1967 was something around the marker of $4,700.
$4,000, I was gonna say.
Yes, sir. And so I did all the calculations on it because I had this posted up at the last shop I worked at, and that would be the equal of right around $29,000 today. $29,300, I believe, was the number.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So for a well equipped but not fully loaded truck, $29,000. I went on Ford's website when I did that calculation, and it was $47,000.
I was going to say, you're going to try to find what kind of new truck you can buy for $27,000.
No,
Good luck with that.
It was a 67 Ford F100 and a 2020 at the time Ford F-150 with a long bed and the V8 engine and all that. And yeah, man, it's the trying to compare what you could have gotten back in the day and what we're paying now is it's almost criminal.
The Granada was probably $2,800.
Oh, and they gave you a free tank of gas with it, brother. Oh my God!
My Lincoln
and two hubcaps to go with it.
My Lincoln, 67 Lincoln, has a nameplate.
Love it.
This was Mr. I forget. It's in the glove box because I can't throw it away. I mean, it's part of it. Was the original George. Can't remember his last name. So, exactly. Yeah. This car was ordered directly for George Seidman or whatever his name was.
Oh,
Like, that's so cool. They customize it right from the factory. It's not even an aftermarket.
How great is that?
And they had this thing with the Lincoln emblem on it with the two pens on it. You could put on your desk.
Yes,
and it had your name. And said, "Ooh, I ordered a new Lincoln." You could put that on your desk.
Oh, man.
Everybody knew what a pimp you were.
Yeah, heck yeah. I have so much Buick garbage and regalia from back in the day, like the 64 Buick Riviera. If you wanted, you could get a chrome tissue dispenser.
What year was this?
1964.
62nd year old.
Yeah, exactly. And the chrome tissue dispenser would swing out from the dash, and then you get blow your nose, and then push it back into the dash, and that was $42 in 1964.
Wow. Did you have to have Buick type of?
Oh no! There are emblems. It's embossed And by the way, the Buick guys that want these now. Hundreds of dollars.
Oh, they just catered to the buyer back then, man.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
They cared what you thought about their company.
They wanted you to buy next time, I see a lot of kids that don't even want to drive, pushing 20, never had an interest to get a driver's license. Let me tell you a story. I was working on this gal, and I just love cars, so I get into a certain point when I'm, I was like, what's your first car?
Yeah, what's your first car?
What's your first car? Because I want them to talk about their childhood and maybe, connect with me a little bit. What were you doing when you were a kid? What kind of jobs you have?
Right.
And this lady, she's telling me about this beautiful old blue 65 Mustang convertible that she used to have. And I was like, that's
checking all the boxes.
I love that car. That's the 65 and a half. I just love Fords. I love Mustangs, whatever else. And she says, a couple of years ago, I'm walking out of a restaurant, and there's this blue Mustang convertible, top down. And, you know, we're like, holy cow, this is like, just like, it's a little darker, but it's almost the same car that I used to have. And her husband's like, well, come over, take a look at it. And he jumps into the driver's seat and she's like, what are you doing? Turns out she rented it from you guys.
Oh, God. Oh, thank goodness.
Totally surprised her with it. Talk about a love, you know. What a cool husband, man.
That's great.
And she said,
that's such a cool story.
We took the whole day and we drove up and down Highway 1, down, you know.
Oh, man,
like, is there
that's
a better
cool.
street in the country, let alone world, to drive a 65 Mustang convertible down Highway 1 along the ocean? Like,
old blue.
Oh, my God, that's a pretty car.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it's a 65 and a half. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a 65.
Is it?
It's a true GT.
Is it? Yeah.
289 C4 transmission. Right. I just did a service on that thing.
Really?
Yeah, really recently. And
that's an archaic car.
It is.
It's hard to drive, I would imagine. I've never driven one, but.
Well, your frame. We need to get you into like the Mercury Monterey,
right.
Cadillac Eldorado. They were not made for 6'5" beasts like you.
Right.
But a normal human in a 65 Mustang driving down the coast. That's the great thing is almost all of our cars have modern radios in them.
Oh, really?
So you can connect to Bluetooth.
Oh, really?
Or there's a dongle, dongle connection to where, you know, you can cord it in to whether an Android or a iPhone or whatever, and then you get to choose your own soundtrack cruising the coast. And
that's cool.
But I always go like, here's my choices. If I were to start, here's what we're gonna do.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's such a joy to work with those cars and be a part of some of those memories in some small, minute way.
Yeah.
Like we're doing weddings all the time, and we're doing these events, and people go, "Oh my God, my dad had this car, and he's not with us, but my mom drove me up to the like." Oh gosh, how can like? Oh yeah, he had a '69 Cougar when he got back from Vietnam, and it's like, whoa, like
you hear those stories, don't you?
Yeah, you hear every story. Or we had it was a 95th birthday for grandma, and son-in-law or whoever rented the 1957 Chevy, and it's a hard top, but you know all the side windows go down like 57 Chevys do, and they piled in a grandkid on each side of her, and then they had her daughter in the front seat filming her and prompting her with questions, and the grandmother had bought a 1957 Chevy in teal with a white top.
It's got teal.
Brand new. Yeah. And so it was like, oh, we went to the San Carlos Chevrolet in Santa Fe, California. And she told 4 hours of stories.
Those probably memories that she had lost.
Oh, and
until she sat down on that leather, and they all came rushing back.
She was touching the door panel, and she goes,
right.
"Oh, I forgot.
That's so cool.
I thought this was plaid, but it actually has houndstooth in it. Yeah, that's right. Wow.
That's right.
Look at that. Yeah, I remember this. I remember. Oh, and she pointed at her daughter and was like, and you threw up on the back, on the package tray, because when they were on a road trip, they took the baby and just put her in the back window.
That's funny.
And baby didn't like jostling around back there and just like threw up. And that was her memory. Like, oh yeah, you threw up back there. And she was like,
got into the speakers and everything.
How old was I, Mom? And she was like, you must have been 8.5 or probably 9 months old. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a good spot.
Right.
That's a good spot for a 9-year-old.
That's the truth, though. I mean, when I guess it would have been probably 69, somewhere around there. I was in my mom's Volkswagen Bug, and she came, and she was trying to beat a yellow light, and she was trying to take a left, and she clipped that back wheel with the curb, and she went into a full roll. They're kind of shaped like a volleyball, so it just keep on rolling.
Oh my gosh, those things have more inertia in them.
And I remember I was laying in the back window. You
were just hanging out back there.
You know how little they are. I was only probably 3 or maybe 2 or 3 at the time, and I just crawled in the back seat.
Right on the edge of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Laying on top of the motor, now that I think about it, wasn't I? Oh, my God, that's funny. That was a rear-engine car. It was nice and vibrating back here.
Deep breaths. They make me nice and sleepy.
Oh, I know, right? Just take the kids for a car ride around the neighborhood and make them sleepy. Now it makes sense.
Now it makes total sense. Yeah, man. Oh, my gosh.
I always thought it was a vibration.
No. Catalytic converters have stopped kids from sleeping. That's what we got out of this episode. Catalytic converters are bad for kids sleeping. All right.
Note to self.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the kids out in the cars pre-1975, folks. That's the key.
That's funny, right? That's true though. God, they didn't. I remember riding. I was standing on the floor in the front seat, and my mom was probably at least 150 pounds. It's like if you would have got into a car accident, she would have just crushed me against the.
There's nothing stopping her.
There's nothing stopping her.
No.
If she even had a seatbelt, it would have been a waist belt. Yeah. You wouldn't have done anything anyways,
No, I remember driving to Mexico with my folks, and I actually figured it out. It's a 1976 Chevy van, the long edition. Ooh. And my dad ripped the entire interior out, and him and his buddies made the wedge corner kind of couch in the far back.
Sure.
And it had the bubble windows with the curtains.
Right.
And there was a little console with a TV that never worked.
No.
And the captain's chair's in the middle,
sure,
and
right,
in the front
right.
That swiveled,
swiveled back.
So you could all yell at each other all at once.
Playing cards.
Super fun.
Sure.
And I never forget, I will never forget, one of my first road trip memories was just, my dad just driving the hell out of that thing down Highway 5, just 75 miles an hour, just
right.
And my mom and my dad being in an argument, and him going over the dumbs, over the lines,
right. The city titties.
And he was going for miles.
Really?
Miles. Because my mom had said something about his driving. He's like, "Oh, you think I'm that too far that way? Okay." And the only time we stopped, it wasn't when the kids needed food. It wasn't when we needed to go to the bathroom. It was ice or Jotabe, not Jim Beam. Pardon me, that's my drink. It was J&B Scotch.
Oh, nice.
So at the time,
yellow label, right?
Yeah, at the time, my parents only drank J&B and Sevens. So they're going down Highway 5, and my mom's making roadies, and he's got Marlboro Reds going. She's got Benson and Hedges, and I'm just sitting in the back with a little puzzle game. And no seatbelts. Just we go and we go.
It was too cold in Michigan to roll down the window too. That would have been.
Oh, no,
keep the windows up.
That would have messed up Mom's hair.
That too, right?
What the fuck are you talking about?
7
Roll down
gallons
a window.
Aquanet.
75 miles an hour, the Benson and Hedges? Nah, you can't do that. Come on, man.
Blasphemy, I tell you. Oh, man.
Oh, and I wish we had another 4 hours to talk hockey, because the recent going-ons with hockey is is wild to me. Just
I've been working too much. What's going on? I know the Red Wings are crushing.
No, they are. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I know that you're not watching. I'm not watching really either, but it seems like the referees might be kind of kowtowing a little bit to the high speed guys and kind of the strikers and stuff like that, and not really letting the meatheads and kind of the back lines do their jobs. So there's a lot of calls going on that it doesn't even feel like early 2000s hockey anymore. It feels kind of just like a shove and tackle game.
It's another part of that pulling the rug out from underneath us. You know, I won't watch pro football anymore because I will not. I won't watch the
followed
ads.
you on that. I followed you on that. Thank you for that.
Not kneeling for the flag. I'm out. You want to disrespect the country that's paying you millions and millions of dollars to play a game? Yeah, I don't know. I can't watch that.
Oh, see, I did it for a little bit of a different reason.
I go to hockey because, you don't whine in hockey. You'll get your ass kicked.
Yeah,
you'll get the shirt pulled over the back of your head, and you'll get some uppercuts.
Your sweater's getting wrinkled.
Right? That's what I like about it. There's no, but now there is starting to be a little bit of flopping on the ground.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on, guys.
I've seen a lot of guys really, really milking it lately.
Yeah.
And just in clips. Really haven't watched anything. And as far as the NFL thing goes, the kneeling and the flag and everything with that, there are so many different sides to that at work. Sure. But the thing was for me is, why alienate your fans?
Yeah.
And the last time that my wife and my folks went to a game, $160 a ticket, hot dogs are $14.
Right.
A normal size.
We're just trying to get by out here, man.
Normal size beer is $16.
Right.
Like, my family was involved in the Raiders organization in the 70s and 80s,
right,
to where it's like, oh, Kenny Stabler, they leased him a Buick from my grandfather leased Kenny Stabler a Buick, the most loaded Buick Riviera that you could ever want, for $1.
Really?
Because that was the deal that Al Davis and my grandfather worked out was, hey, you get cars, we get seats, everybody's happy. And then us, the same family that had those free seats for years, just get rung up. And I look around at what used to be all season ticket holders, which were all friends of ours. We all barbecued before we come into the game.
Yeah.
And
I've been to those Raider tailgates.
It's a big community. It's a huge thing. And now it's really fractured. There's the people that want to stay and want to pay $220 for a season ticket per game. And there's the people like me that have thrown their hands up going, I'm not going to spend $1,000 for my wife and I to go watch somebody in a subpar stadium either win or get the shit kicked out of them, most likely the latter.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're not even in Oakland anymore. They're in Las Vegas. Yeah. And they're doing Raider things, but the NFL the NFL has really, really taken their fan base by the back of the head and just let them around.
Right.
And it makes I agree with you now to where I'm like, I don't care. I don't care at all. No. You're not going to get any of my money.
Right.
I'm not going to watch it. No ad revenue will be had through me.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. But I don't have any interest.
I did watch a game the other day. Who was I watching? Seattle and somebody else. And yeah, I mean the commercials that are being played. It's just that just alone pisses me off. It's just like, what are you? What? I'm not going to get into the details, but. It's just ridiculous.
I know you hate the Energizer Bunny with a serious hatred.
That's the one that was sending me over the top, boy.
You just hate bass drums. You hate bass drums. I get it. It's fine, man. Let it go.
Yeah. I think the Lions are doing okay this year too.
I think there's
keep
a
hearing,
lot of. I think
like
there's
you
a
keep
lot
saying,
of
I'm not
teams
watching
that
any
are.
more football, but I think the Lions are doing good. Wait, okay. Maybe I'll bail on that.
I got one of those iPhone things, and it sends me things on occasion and lets
that
me know.
accidentally came up. I don't know how that got there.
Oh no! Now I know how they're doing, but I didn't need to pay $19 for nachos.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Yeah. College ball's a lot of fun to watch.
College ball is a lot of fun, and especially with the rules that they have set with the 1 foot and
It's different rules, isn't it?
It's a little bit different
Right,
rules. Right. And what is it? The football motion, the football move. If you're catching a ball and you turn the ball towards you, supposedly that's a football move in the NFL. But in college ball, if you have your hands on the ball and you look like you control it, you have the ball. But in the NFL, you have to make a football move. So you have to make it look like it's your best friend's girlfriend. I have no idea.
They're helping me out and not liking to watch this crap, There was a baseball thing that happened this year too, doesn't it? It's like all of a sudden you only have like 10 seconds before.
Oh, you got to stand in the box and start swinging.
Right. The clock's ticking now. There's no looking over your shoulder to see if the first, if the guy on first is trying to make a move. It's like,
there are guys. There are guys from the early 2000s. I want to Coco Crisp from the Oakland A's, from those days, from the late 2000s. The amount of adjusting he did with his Velcro gloves before he got back in the box.
He'd been out of time.
He'd be out of time by at least 15 seconds.
Oh, really?
Like, I watched a clip the other day and I was like, wow, we really waited around for this guy to hit one out to deep left and get picked off.
Right.
But yeah, the clock seems logical.
Right.
But at some point, there's got to be some.
You're
wash.
right. It probably is a good thing. I just hate change.
Preach. Preaching from a mountaintop.
I'm terrible at this. Okay. It seems like a good idea.
All right, fine. You damn kids have your timer. And we won't make this 9-inning thing last 5.5 hours. Everybody's got to be at work in the morning.
I always bitch about how long baseball games
Fucking
are,
hey,
but as soon as they go to change
we
it,
all
it's
bitch
like,
about it.
What are you doing?
But then when the 7th inning stretch comes along and you're like, no more beer?
Are you kidding me?
Fuck off! Oh. I guess the peanut guy's not coming around anymore either.
Dang it. Cotton candy guy's out having the last of the beer. Rotten bastard. Yeah. So what you been up to, man? Oh God, when you were here one time, you said you were gonna try to be a comedian someday. Back when you were young.
Oh gosh.
Tell me a little about those times. Did you ever get on stage and get on the club and get the fart around?
Oh my gosh.
Now everything's about the comedians, because Joe Rogan brought the comedian thing back.
It's so wild because right before Joe Rogan moved out of Los Angeles, I actually happened to be down there at the Comedy Store, and I saw a buddy that I used to know. It must have been 13 or 15 years beforehand.
No kidding.
And I went, Joel.
Really?
And he goes, Jesus, what are you doing here? Do you have a spot? And I was like, no. I'm drinking and eating quesadillas.
Passing through.
That's what I'm doing. I'm watching the show. Right. This is going to be great. And he goes, well, you got to come back. You got to come back and say hi to everybody. And so I'm in the back room of the Comedy Store right before Joe Rogan moves to LA.
Yeah.
And there are all the heavy hitters, like everybody that you can think of that has a bitching podcast right now.
Yeah.
It was before the shutdowns. It was like, this is 2017, 2018. And just everybody was there. And I was talking to a bartender, and I was like, "Hey, so does is Rogan been around today?" Like I'm trying to sound cool. I'm like, "Has Rogan been around today?" And she's like, "No, but you'll know. He'll come around." And Joel goes up and does a show.
Yeah.
And now I'm just sitting there by myself in the back room of the Comedy Store, and just people are walking by that you never think you would see.
You're like
ever.
trying not to be.
And I'm just trying to be cool, just sitting there. And all that to be said, I saw a few guys that I'd known from a previous life, from when I was a comedian.
Sure.
And we all did open mic sets at
Back in the day.
a place called the El Patio in Santa Ana, where there might have been 12 people in the audience,
Right.
and 4 of them were my friends.
Sure, right.
Or an entire table was my friends, so I could make it sound better. And the thing that set me off was my impression of my dad. And him and I have had a lot of strife and continue, and just like fathers and sons do. But,
Sure.
the gentleman jumped the border 4 times to be here in America. And the 4th time that the United States government caught him, they said, "Hey, we're tired of paying for your bus fare back to Mexico. So it's 25 years in the pen, or you start saluting somebody in a green uniform. You can be in the army."
Right.
And so
Jail didn't sound so.
this is 1959.
Oh, wow.
So 1961, he's involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Is Korea going on at that point?
No,
The
not
Koreas are over
not
at
yet.
that point.
We're not there yet,
Yeah.
but definitely the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was one of the first boats to be unloaded if there was an invasion of Cuba at the time. So he became an honorary citizen, and just one of the most straightforward people that you could really ever meet. And it is nice to meet you. It is. This is. You have a thing going here that is good for you. Good for you. You should be proud of yourself. Like, just everything's meant in a very nice way, but there's a knife coming from somewhere, but you just got to wait for it. And so one of my buddies just throws me up on the stage at this place called El Patio in Santa Ana, which isn't there anymore. And he goes, "Just talk about your parents." And I was like, I don't want to do, like, I had nothing really prepared.
Right.
And I wanted to, in my head, I wanted to be George Carlin,
Of course.
just the 7 dirty words, like have everything as a rhythm in my head and get it going. And one guy from the back yells, because I walk up on stage, "Ladies and gentlemen, Austin Palacios from San Francisco." Not from San Francisco, but okay. So I walk up and I go, "Hi, I'm from San Francisco. It's so good to see all you guys. You're just, God, you're beautiful. Look at you, sir. I see you." And the joke wore out real quick.
Yeah.
It didn't last long. And then one guy from the back, he kind of sits up out of his seat. He goes, "Where are you from?" And I went, "Well, I'm from the Bay Area, but I got this family and, this dad that I already told you about. And, God, he works really hard to make money, and he thinks my mom works even harder to spend it." And I'm like, now I'm just kind of like thinking about Christmas. Like I'm not actually thinking about a bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, like there was this one time he walked down to Christmas Day and he sees the entire 10-foot Christmas tree wrapped with Christmas presents 4 tall and 3 out from the tree. And he goes, "Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Linda," to my mom, "Linda, have you gone deaf from all this swiping of my credit cards? What is all this? What could they need? Why could they need all this?" And I thank you for reacting the way you did, because that's pretty much where I was like, oh, there's meat on this bone. There is.
Right. This guy knew what he was talking about.
There's something going on here, to where everybody can either relate to their mom overdoing it, or their dad just being beyond himself, or just not knowing how to express himself. My sister, my oldest sister Dana, she came home late from a date one time with her would-be husband at the time.
Yeah.
Like super innocent. The movie went late, whatever. And I remember my father kind of getting up in personal space land and, "If you ever come home late from your curfew again, I will come down on you like a ton of blocks."
Didn't have the same weight.
One time I definitely broke something. I definitely broke something that made a mess. I forget what it was, but he's standing over a 6-year-old version of me, and it was, "You are pushing all of my wrong switches. You need to hush up." And just the minor inconsistencies with how normal, and a 6-year-old jackass like me, it took every ounce of my being to just go like,
tear running out of your eye.
"I'm an asshole. I'm gonna go think about what I've done. You got me. I gotta go." And that really helped me out through the fire academy.
Really?
Yeah, because when people would yell at me and say stupid shit, I'd go, "Yeah,
you ain't got nothing." So that's what you did. You mostly just kind of wrapped it around your family, and
I did a lot of family stuff. But then, like as my experience in Southern California grew, it was like the cultural difference. Like when I was growing up in San Francisco Bay Area, we'd go to Stinson Beach, and somebody would have a case of beer, and we'd have a designated driver, and somebody might have a joint, somebody might have a pack of cigarettes. Like, that's a full night.
Right.
When I moved to Southern California, a guy sat down on the beach and out of his jacket pockets assembled a collapsible bong, and then out of his back he goes, "Hold on," and he goes, "I only use distilled water in my in my water pipe." He called it a water pipe. "In my water pipe," and he's pouring it in. And he has this ritual where he takes off his sandals, and everybody sits crisscross applesauce on the beach, and we all take a hit. And I was like, wow, that was an experience, man. That was wow. And right then he goes into his jacket pocket and he goes, "Tutor of cocaine?" And I was like,
What are you, a pharmacy?
"What? No, we're sitting looking at the ocean. There's no."
Now you've gone too far.
We can stop here.
Right.
We can hang out here,
What
relax,
kind of coke?
man.
No, I mean, no.
No. But no, like, seriously, what did you cut it with? So
Funny. Wow. Yeah, no kidding, man. You ever want to go back to it? You ever want to get up on stage?
I think about the opportunities that are available for me, and I'd so much rather just sit here and bullshit with you,
right?
And go on stage and have a tight five,
sure, and
try to, see the guy in the front row and be like, your name looks like Wade, and try to involve the group.
Right.
It just, it doesn't feel natural, and the rooms out here are kind of odd. So
Are they?
I'm willing to talk to anybody and make anybody laugh at this point.
Right.
Hell, it's gonna be 2024 real quick, and all I want is for my friends and family to keep laughing because holy shit, dude.
Remember when
it just keeps getting heavier.
When I called you the other day, it was like,
Which,
you're
by the
like,
way,
I'm on my way.
Congratulations, because I've been listening to the back catalog. And
nice.
There's you have such good conversations with these people, but I do want to become a little bit of a mainstay around here to where I can come in, drink a little bit of beer, and talk about shit.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh boy, I mean, it is real heavy out there,
It is, man.
And a lot of us take it really way too seriously.
Well, we got to walk a tight line because you can really fall into some holes nowadays. But at the same time, you can't be too stressed about it. We got to watch our P's and Q's. But at the same time, not so much because I'm still me, man.
Oh, man. Hey, and thank God for it. I recently heard something from the former Mythbuster but current creator Adam Savage.
Sure, I like it.
He said, Q-tip, quit taking it personally.
Yeah.
In job, in life, you got a buddy that's not calling you back. Guess what? He just had another kid, and he's working a full-time gig. It ain't about you, boo-boo.
Right.
Hey, your buddy that used to play dominoes with you twice a week, his mom's not doing great.
Right.
And he's got shit to dedicate to that.
Exactly.
And we can't all be there for each other at all times, but the most we can be there, we need to love each other.
That's great. Great way to wind this up, man.
And I tell...
We're over 2.5 hours now. 2:15,
Jesus Christ.
It flies so fast.
No. Well,
just because we just have such a good time, come in another month or so.
Yes, sir. And what I will say is I love you. I say that to all my friends. Wade, it was very nice meeting you. We will fall in love very soon. And but what I will say is love each other and don't take it too seriously.
Right on, brother.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Blast, man. Thanks for coming in.
Woo!
Woo! That wasn't so hard, was it?
Damn, brother. I love it.